If I told you tomorrow that a data miner leaked Mortal Kombat 12, nobody freaks out, because it's all according to plan. But when I tell you that one angry ex-girlfriend leaked Mortal Kombat 12, well, everyone loses their minds! A very big shout out to Ignat Rizzi for covering this topic on his channel. I recommend everybody watching subscribes to his channel right now and checks out his content, because it's just awesome. And that's why I waited a bit to cover this topic myself, because I didn't want to steal his thunder, but at the same time, you all have to know about this. I had to share this crazy story with my viewers. So without any further ado, let's cover the most hilarious leak in Mortal Kombat history after a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Hero Wars, a free-to-play fantasy RPG like no other. You can easily spend hundreds of hours in this game playing campaign, forming a guild, or even solving puzzles. Over 4 million players have already joined, and now it's your turn, because Hero Wars just started their Portal sweepstakes, which you can enter to win awesome prizes like 160 Amazon digital gift cards worth $50, $100, or even $500. Step 1. Make sure to use my link in the pinned comment and video description. Installing the game through that link is how you enter the contest. Step 2. Create your free game account and boom, you're entered to win. But we need 10,000 installs to gain access to the best prizes, so tell your friends and let's do our best to unlock the most amazing prizes. The more players we get to join means better prizes. And remember, the game is completely free, so you don't need to buy anything. There's no purchase necessary. Let's open a portal to the Dominion together. Click my special link in the description or scan the QR code to download Hero Wars before October 31st and get a chance to win some amazing prizes. Thanks again to Hero Wars for sponsoring this video. See you in Hero Wars, and let's open the portal together. Alright, onto the topic of today's video. So believe it or not, apparently an angry ex-girlfriend has leaked a bunch of information about Mortal Kombat 12. And that's because her boyfriend, who works at NetherRealm Studios, cheated on her, apparently multiple times. And she's not having it anymore. She's gonna get revenge and hit him where it hurts. Not in the testes, not in the wallet. Nope, she's going for the developer gonads. Now, is this leak actually true? Well, let's read it and you can all decide for yourself, and of course I'm gonna give my opinion as we read along. Now of course, like any other fun leak, this one was posted on Reddit, so here we go. It's called "My BF Works at NRS and Cheated. They're making MK12." Well, yeah, I've said before that I'm almost certain they are working on a big Mortal Kombat game sequel, but let's keep reading. Reposting this here because I was told I can. Happy to answer whatever I can, but please be aware of two things. Number one, we shared a home office during the entirety of work from home, and that is how I overheard and saw a lot of this. I also personally know a few other individuals from NetherRealm, and they've hung at our place plenty. He's a prick and has done a lot of other crap to me that I've put up with to deserve this. Not just OMGZ he cheated, apparently a lot of butthurt alpha males on the other subreddit took offense to me daring to do something spiteful to a man in return. I have leverage, so I am not afraid of retribution or being blacklisted. Well, I mean, so far you're completely anonymous, so you can't really be blacklisted unless she just means Reddit, like getting her Reddit account destroyed, but can't you just make a new one? That's always the go-to hack, right? Okay, so my opinion so far, it definitely does seem like a woman wrote this, at the very least. My entire life, I grew up with women only in my household. I had 2 older sisters and my mother had sole custody. And as a result, I can typically tell when something was written by a woman. Or at the very least, the person who wrote this understands how women write and did a very good job of duplicating their writing format. I mean, just look at the second paragraph. It's her talking about herself. She hasn't even leaked anything yet. The entire point of this post is to leak something, but already she spent 2 paragraphs just talking about herself. And look, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just saying that that's very typical of what my sisters and mother would do. They want to tell you some big news, but wait, first here's a whole paragraph about them. Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you the big news, but first here's an entire essay about how my day was leading up to this big news. Long story short, my boyfriend works at NetherRealm in an undisclosed role, and I busted him cheating on me last week. Come to find out, he's been cheating on me for a while, so naturally, since he's been working remotely since last year and he never shuts up about his work and loves to brag and show off his talent to me, as he thinks it's attractive, and his coworkers that Zoom with him like to show off and brag as well. Not even counting the crap I see during his Zoom meetings, this is my revenge. I'm leaking his hard work on the internet and he can suck a fat one. Or the bimbo he's humping. Either or, I don't care. Alright, so already I have a red flag, because who doesn't wear headphones during a Zoom meeting? I can't be the only one. I feel like it's just the polite thing to do, because that way your conversation is more private. If you're working on something confidential, there's no way you're not wearing headphones, so she would never overhear any Zoom meetings. Unless her boyfriend is extremely unprofessional and also a big idiot who doesn't know he has to wear headphones. Keep in mind, when you're working on stuff like this, you've signed an NDA, and that stands for a non-disclosure agreement, which means in short, you can't talk about anything you're working on. Believe it or not, even during college, I was working on secret stuff like this, and as a result, I couldn't talk to anybody about it. And in fact, during certain hours of the day, the professor would actually allow me to lock the classroom so nobody else could come in and accidentally see what I'm working on. That is how how serious an NDA can be, and even now as a YouTuber, I'm reading and signing NDAs constantly. So yeah, long story short, it's a red flag to me that she overheard anything, because there is no way this guy wouldn't have the common sense to wear headphones during his Zoom meetings. Now, of course, she did also say they hung out at her house, and in that circumstance, maybe she could overhear something, but once again, you would have to be highly unprofessional to talk about stuff that you signed an NDA for. That is super illegal, and you can get sued for it, or at least fired and blacklisted from the industry. Nobody wants to hire somebody that constantly leaks company secrets. Okay, but now time for the juicy bits, the actual leaks. Once again, took her 2 paragraphs, but here we are. I've seen a bunch of stuff, some art, some customization stuff, the select screen, arena select, etc, etc. What he's told me and what I've overheard include, it's a game that caps off the most recent trilogy by having most of its characters and arenas playable from those 3 titles. There are 50 playable characters on the base roster, but it wasn't as much work as you think it would be. More on that later. Okay, so having 50 characters sounds absolutely amazing, but it would only be possible if they carried over files from the previous games, which they could do, but it's very untypical for NetherRealm. Literally every single NetherRealm game is developed from the ground up. The characters have entirely new moves and inputs, and their designs look different as well. And as a result, I don't think they would stop that trend now. However, there is still one more way they reach 50 characters, and that's if they ditch the variation system. If you were to take Mortal Kombat X and multiply it by how many variations there are, you would easily get 50 characters. Now, sometimes the variations aren't a very big change, but for some characters, they feel completely different in other variations. Characters like Kenshi feel completely different in all 3 variations. So in summary, it's very unlikely that Mortal Kombat 12 could have 50 characters, but there are scenarios where it could happen. It's just very unlikely. Supposedly, there will be 3 DLC packs with 10 characters spread out amongst them. That number is already suspicious and is not consistent with any DLC packs from past games, but I'm gonna keep on reading. 4 of those characters will be guests. That number is way too low. The first pack is decided as Reiko, Lee May, John Wick, and Doomslayer. Okay, so right away, having 4 characters in a DLC pack is very low for NetherRealm. That's a red flag. And then on top of that, half the pack is guest characters, which seems way too high. If there had been 5 characters planned and 2 of them were guest characters, that would make perfect sense to me. There are 28 arenas in the game, 1 that is brand new, and the rest are taken from the previous trilogy. And in the case of arenas from Mortal Kombat 2011 and Mortal Kombat X, they have been touched up for this engine. Okay, another red flag, because there's no way there'd only be 1 new stage, and if they brought back the Mortal Kombat 9 stage, they'd have to overhaul them completely, because that game did not have interactable environments. And as a result, it would be a lot of work to carry it over into Mortal Kombat 12. They'd have to add a bunch of stuff in the foreground that you can interact with. And then on top of that, the stages in MK9 are much bigger, and they're also not consistent. Some stages are longer, some are shorter, there's no consistency. This game, some version of Mortal Kombat 12, was originally going to be ways off, but then the lockdown caused the plans at NetherRealm Studios to shift. Combat Pack 3 for MK11 was shelved, and MK12 was brought forward. Okay, that part I believe, and their new baby, a new IP, was delayed so more work could be put into perfecting it. The game's story revolves around Liu Kang having restarted time, but in messing with it creates a paradox that can destroy the universe. This paradox has messed a lot of stuff up, merging realms that weren't merged before, combatants' allegiances have changed, and some combatants who were supposed to be dead are still alive. Okay, so real talk, I hate how easily this could be the story for Mortal Kombat 12, because it makes perfect sense for the writers to do this, as it allows them to have the most characters to play around with. Because I've discussed before how if this game takes place in the past, and that's all there is to it, that means certain characters like Scorpion just can't exist because he wasn't born yet. During the Great Kung Lao era, there was no Scorpion. I don't think there is even Sub-Zero, so there could still be an ice character and a fire character, but their names would be completely different. So yeah, this part of the leak actually makes a lot of sense, and it's totally something I could see the writers doing. An early idea for the game was originally to feature select characters from other Mortal Kombat media, like characters from the short-lived Conquest TV show for the chapters set in the past, or Cole Young from the new movie in the present. These ideas were abandoned when the primary focus became solely celebrating this most recent trilogy of games. Yeah, I'm gonna call cap on all of that. I could see Cole Young being a playable character in Mortal Kombat 11, but he's already fallen out of relevancy. Characters that will have an allegiance switch due to the paradox include Smoke, who is now evil, Reptile, now good, and Frost, now good, and Kung Jin, now evil, and a few others. Okay, so real talk, a good Frost sounds fantastic, and I would love it, and the same goes for good Reptile. That's how I know it's not going to happen, because I'm not that lucky, okay? That's why we're never going to get a good version of Frost who doesn't stab Sub-Zero in the back. Now, Reptile being good could definitely happen, because I think many would argue that Reptile's never really been evil in the past, he's just served bad people. Every boss and sub-boss from this trilogy is playable. That includes Kentaro and Chronica, who were both previously unplayable. Once again, I'm gonna call cap on that. It would be amazing if it happens, but that's why it's not gonna happen, because I'm not that lucky. The roster ignores double or gimmick characters such as Cyber Sub-Zero and Triborg, as well as previous guests due to licensing agreement expirations. Once again, this would help them reach 50 characters, right? Because Triborg was actually 4 characters in one, so split them up and now you have 4 characters instead of, just one. Okay, now this video is getting kinda long, so if you wanna see the entire thing covered, then once again, please check out Ignant Rizzy. He covers the entire thing, but I'm already getting bored here. However, I did wanna cover this one part of the leak that exposes the whole thing as being fake, in my opinion. To elaborate further on limited skins as compared to the previous title, every character starts off with 21 skins. Impossible, unless they're variations of an existing skin, like they just changed the color or something. There will be future skins, like DLC and Kombat League for select characters over time. For example, Sub-Zero's returning skins from 11 are Lin Kuei Grandmaster, Black Ice, Honorary Shirai Ryu, Back to Basics, Blue Blizzard. You get the idea. She memorized these names? No way. There's absolutely no way. By the time this paragraph is finished, she names off like 30 different costumes, including a new costumes for Sub-Zero, but here's the thing, they're just names. These names don't mean anything, because since characters look different in every single Mortal Kombat game, even in the original 3 and the 3D era games, their costumes look different in every game, and as a result, that's how you refer to their costumes. You go Deception Sub-Zero, MK3 Katana, MK2 Melina, you name them based on the games they're playable in. Nobody ever refers to them as their official in-game name. Even the workers aren't going to do that because they're going to speak in shorthand. And once again, there is no way she could memorize this without having to write it all down. And I don't know about you, but if I was the boyfriend or the coworkers, I would wonder why she was writing everything down and get really suspicious. The only way any of this is possible and she memorized all these names is if she pretended to text somebody and was instead taking notes on their conversation. That's the only way she could have documented all of this. And actually, there's one more thing I wanted to cover before wrapping up this video because it explains how there's going to be so many characters in this game, and what I'm sure will be a very controversial move. All Mortal Kombat 11 characters are ripped straight from that game and have the same moves, specials, fatalities, and brutalities. However, all returning characters from Mortal Kombat 2011 and Mortal Kombat X and future DLC will have brand new moves, specials, fatalities, and brutalities. Yeah, that's very similar to what I was talking about earlier. The only way you can have that many characters in a game is if you somehow copy and paste them over. And that's why I do think this leak is very unlikely to be true, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because I still had to cover this thing. It's such a funny idea for a leak. I love how the person who posted it made up all the romantic drama just to make this post seem a bit more believable. I love that little touch. Now for me personally, I have no idea why people are so obsessed with the idea of faking a leak and getting people to believe it. I just don't have that kind of desire myself. But once again, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below and smash the like button if you enjoyed. Then keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell, that way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.